Excited. All right, welcome to the Dear Lacrosse Pod. This is episode 10. I'm here with the guest. I know I said I was gonna have a guest and interview people. This was not the guest I was talking about. This is just a bonus, and he still fits the description I said previously, so y'all wouldn't even known or made a difference. But this is Coach T. He's in charge and owns the Speed System. I'm sure you guys have seen that on Instagram. I'll put it in the caption below. But T, why don't you introduce yourself, because you do a lot of things and I just...
Oh my goodness. Coach T, I own the Speed System. We work with athletes looking to get faster, quicker, overall just better, right? We work with a lot of lacrosse players, been working with lacrosse players since 2011 now. So it's been quite a ride learning about lacrosse, because I was a former football player, didn't know anything about lacrosse. Lacrosse wasn't in the hood. And so now it's just about, I had to learn the sport and really get to relate. And actually, girls lacrosse has been our number one sport for the last 10 years now. So, and I've enjoyed the ride, every bit of it.
No, but you've been trucking. Like you've been trucking. Your Instagram has really good engagement. It's been increasing followers every single year. Mm. Why? Why do you think that is?
I think it's just, we're not trying to put a lot of fluff. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
It's not about a lot of fluff. It's not about, hey, put some cool music to it and put all the best videos. Mm-hmm. You're seeing raw, organic, just these kids getting it every day. That's the thing. And I think that's what appeals to a lot of parents. That's what appeals to a lot of kids. And then, they always ask me, well, what sport do they play? I'm like, lacrosse. And so they're like, oh, okay. Can this work for soccer? Yes. Can this work for hockey? Yes. Can this work for football? Yes. But they see the girls and they're like, oh my God, I love how intense the girls are. I'm like, it's pretty intense.
Girls move. But we talk all the time, and I don't think people realize how much we talk. But we talk a lot. I would consider you one of my mentors as well. Like, I bounce a lot of business ideas. I'm like, help me make money. How do I do this? What is my package plan? What do I need to sell? I'm going to pick your brain for 2 hours.
Right.
But we talked about content a lot. Mm-hmm. And I like the raw content. I don't come with the camera crew. I don't do all the shits and gigs and bells and whistles just to make sure you can be my client. Mm-hmm. I've noticed for you, you don't really tag any of your athletes on your post, which respectable, but we'll find out why soon. But I do get a lot of pushback outside in, other business people, more so strength coaches, about my content. But my content engagement matches their content, even though they're using better equipment.
What are they saying?
It's not it's not polished enough content. Oh, don't use your phone. Blah, 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 blah. It's blurry and blah, blah, blah. So tell me how my blurry phone videos is what's getting 50,000 views. I think it's the content within the content that people miss. People think that content, just because it looks good, this is a great company, they must know strength and conditioning, they must know lacrosse because their content's that great. And then I find companies that don't have the polished content, but actually has the better product because they're pushing something different. So have you noticed any of those things in your social media game?
No. The one thing is because when I started doing it was right around COVID. So when I started doing a lot of videos and just saying, hey, look, and I went to a professional and said, hey, should I, put music to this, and should I use it? What kind of camera should I get? And he said, no. He said, use your phone. He says, the fact that everything is organic. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people miss. You know what I mean?
Organic, authentic content.
Right. Yeah. When I get a lot of comments on people saying hey, I love the way that, your energy in it, because I don't have music blaring in the background. You're missing that part. I'm truly passionate about what I do. The kids are passionate about what they do. And so it shows, and they go and they give me just, everything they have. So when I hear people say, oh, nobody's ever said that to me.
Right.
They'll come to me and say, hey, let me help you with your social media.
I would say more gym people are the ones that are saying it. But again, that's gym culture.
Right.
Gym culture is the
course.
Cinematic, whatever. It is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So when you have gym people looking at my lacrosse stuff and they're like, this is what you do? This is it? I'm like, yeah.
Gym people are, they're the ones you see in there with the $1,000 camera and,
yes.
and I'm kicking.
Didn't even make $1,000 yet. They got their $1,000 camera.
And I'm
actually,
I'm accidentally in the back doing some bicep curls in your video, like, hey, how you doing? But yeah, no, the thing is, don't listen to them. You know, if you're getting the engagement, if you're getting the content, and if you're getting business off of it,
yes.
Why change it?
Well, it's the engagement. Again, Instagram's very, very funny, right? So people think engagement, just because you have thousands of followers, that means you're good to go.
Right.
Not true.
Right.
I can have 100 followers, and if 80% of my 100 followers engage in my content and I make 20% sales, that's more than millions of followers with no engagement.
Absolutely.
So, like, again, like what A&B Athletics at like 4,600 right now. I grew that thing. I started posting content last year. So that was from probably 1,200, and I grew it to 4,600 inconsistently. So like I didn't consistently post.
Right,
I went through like spurts of like, wow, this shit takes a long time to do. I see why I'm not a content creator.
Exactly.
Then why I coach, but that took a long time. But I will say my audience now on A&B Athletics is so true and loyal and authentic, and like the engagement I have is over 50%. I'm getting inquiries on my business and on my website every single day. There's an inquiry.
Yep.
Now, do I land a sale every day? Maybe not, but there's an inquiry every single day from my 4,000 little crappy social media iPhone whatever post is what got me my business. And I think a lot of people also are very scared to put their knowledge out. You already put yourself at a vulnerable place sharing what you think you know. And when you share facts without cited sources, when you share personal experiences and what works for you, there's always somebody going down your throat. So when you start posting your training, your speed training, and you're like, this is the science behind blah, blah, blah. Do you get any pushback by it?
You get, everybody's going to push back because everybody wants to be a know-it-all. You know what I mean? Like, that's what ends up happening. Like, everybody nowadays is, in our industry, and especially in the sports performance world, it's regurgitated information, and everybody just wants to basically make it look better. I'll give you a perfect example. I feel like that's
politics, though. Like, people do this like kids, and they regurgitate their parents' info, and now we have politics.
So what? So here's the thing. So like there's this there's a trainer who he does this stuff working with the central nervous system, right? And everybody's like, oh my God, this is so great, this is so innovative. When in actuality, it came from I believe it's Pete Marinovich, who is Todd Marinovich. I'm old, so. This is way back in the day, right?
Yeah.
So, but he worked on the same types of things. Adam Archuleta was this wide receiver. I'm sorry, he was a defensive back, played for I think Arizona State, and he had this training regimen that was unheard of at that time. And he ran like a 4.340, was benching crazy. He was just, he was ripped up. And so now, it's just now people are coming back to it like, oh my God, I want to try that. And they're making it their own. And I'm like, that's not your own. I've been in this game. When I say I've been in the game for roughly about 18 years, but I've been training at a high level since college. So I've seen it all. I've seen from my two strength coaches, my two mentors, I've seen it all. So I think that's the only pushback I get is, oh, well, wouldn't this work better? And I'm like, I get what you're saying.
Maybe.
You want to be science-based. I understand that. But at the end of the day, it's a mixture between science and actual common sense. And that's a lot of times that common sense isn't common at
lacking.
all.
It's lacking.
I'm like, why would you want to do that? Oh, okay, I get it. All right, you've earned an athlete. I got it.
Well, what's considered common knowledge? I'll still use gym culture, right? I'm in bodybuilding. I'm a week out. The way I feel for myself now compared to the way I fueled and prepared myself as an athlete, a lacrosse player, are two night and day different things. So when people talk about sports nutrition, it's a lot different than lifestyle nutrition or medical cancer nutrition or bodybuilding aesthetics looks nutrition. So when we, again, more Instagram nonsense like the fitfluencers coming out, because again, both of our athletes watch these fitfluencers that are not athletes.
Right.
They're gym goers.
Right.
Probably on steroids.
Right.
That can't run. Or do a pull-up. Like they're not, they don't do what you do on an everyday basis, but they look the way they want to look.
My coach told me something a long time ago. My coach, when he was training me back when I was getting ready for the pros. He said, "Who do you think would win in a race between a bodybuilder and an Olympic lifter?" And he says, "He's right." He says, "Now look at the body composition." He was like, you know, this guy is ripped up, and this guy is, most of the time, if you be honest with yourselves, like when you look at an Olympic lifter, they're usually like big.
They got a belly.
Yeah, they got a belly. And he says that Olympic lifter all day, every day, because of how they train, what they train for, right? So yes, there's a difference between looking, right, and doing.
Looking and doing are two different things. And I feel it's very hard to, now that I'm a coach and kids see me do what I do, and I look the part I look, and now they're like, I want abs. And I'm like, I didn't have abs when I played. When I played, I was about 30 pounds heavier. Like literally 30 pounds up than what my playing weight was. So I again, the Instagram, social media content, moral of the story, just because it's good quality content of production does not mean the content is a quality product or that product is for you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's it.
Let's talk about parents. How freaking nuts they are. They are birth control for me. But it's not even the kids that are birth control. People are like, oh, go into coaching. And I've said this before in my previous, I feel like it is coaching is social working. It is a social work. It's my civic duty. Giving back to my world, my government, whatever. Right? But people say, dealing with kids all day, you might not want them, you might want them, who knows, blah, 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 whatever. I deal with kids and I give them back. It's fine. I get my baby fix and it's like, knock yourself out. I also deal with kids that talk back and have a conscience and know right from wrong. I'm not dealing with like toddlers and stuff. But I will say the most birth control situation of this are the parents. The parents make me not want to have kids. The parents, I'm like, damn, do I turn into that when I reproduce? And what happens if my kid's actually in the wrong? Am I gonna jump down my coach's throat, or am I gonna let my kid be wrong?
So what scenario are you saying? Because like, I'll say this right now, right? Like, I love my parents.
I love
mine. No.
Yours. Your client parents.
My client parents.
I like my private client parents.
But here's the thing. The only thing that you know, like, I've only had to run in with, the only parent that I really am not too fond of is the helicopter parent.
Yes.
Like that one.
How do you get rid of that?
That, you know what I do? So when they sign with us, it's in the policy. Do not just sit, like, I've had parents just come in. It's like, do not come and like just sit there and watch your kid. Here's why. It's not me. I don't care.
It's your kid.
It's your kid. Your kid is going to freeze up. Your kid's going to be tight. Your kid's going to do all this. And I'm like, I'm not going to get what I need to get out of that person, right? When it's me and my athlete, it's us two, right? And or us three or whatever like that, however many we have. And it's a time where they're going to be able to be free. They're going to be able to learn. They're going to be able, and I learn from them.
Correct.
Because a lot of times, and I ran into this I think it was maybe year 2. I had a football player, but his dad wanted him to go to the Naval Academy. Long story short, he was like, he's got to do a certain amount of push-ups, certain amount of pull-ups, and this kid was...
And Dad's just going...
Right, and Dad's just going, right? And I'm like, so one day, Dad wasn't there. And I asked him, I said, man, I was like, what do you want to do?
I don't want to go to Naval Academy.
He goes, I just want to play football, coach. And I'm like, cool, then I'm going to train you like a football player.
That's how we're training.
I'm going to put some of that stuff in, the pull-ups, obviously, the push-ups, obviously, right? But I'm like, switch your mindset. Don't go and, you're hearing your dad say, oh, this is like Navy, Naval Academy. And I'm not even talking about like Naval Academy play football, like Naval Academy.
Yes.
And I'm like, but he's like, I just want to play high school football. I just want to be good enough to step on the field. I said, cool.
Let's do that.
Say less.
Here's
the deal. This is what we're going to do. And do you know that kid came in I could tell from the shift between when I said that and he came in that next session.
Night and day athlete.
He was all in. And we still got, and I don't think he went to the Naval Academy, but it still ended up happening though. But you know what he did do? He did get on the field. And I'm like,
that was his goal.
That was a goal.
That was his goal.
At the end of the day, right? So what I try to do with that is, one, I have obviously
contracts. I have contracts.
Well, I have my
too.
contract, but I have my consultation with the parents.
With the parents, same here.
So we talk. I can get a feed off of what you want.
Right away.
Right away. Is it you or is it her or him?
Who's talking the most?
Right.
Who's answering the questions? And where's the body language at in this meeting?
Right.
Yeah.
And even still, even when I go and like, I'm just talking to the parent and they're like, oh, well, she does this and she needs this. And they usually say this. And she's been wanting to work with you. Cool. Let's go. All right. We're good now. I know it's you. But like, I do have parents who I know it's them. They want to live vicariously through them. Like, matter of fact,
that's the birth control parent. That's the parent I'm talking about.
I just had this actually. Watch this. So
it's coming back to you. You're like, oh, that parent.
No, but hold on, because I just recall I had this recently, and it wasn't a lacrosse parent. It was another sport, and he was inside. We had to move our session inside, and so we were inside, and we were doing some work, and this kid has a lot of issues with his mechanics, especially sprint mechanics. So we just got to get on the basic stuff, right?
Get those knees up.
So right. So, and I'm like, and his dad is just sitting there, and I'm like, oh boy. And so he's like, well, and so and he was getting a water break, and I was getting some water or whatever, and his dad said something. I said, man, I was like, he's almost done. I was like, he putting in work, and his dad goes, you ain't working him hard enough. I'm like, ooh. I'm a Christian man. And so I'm like, and I just walk away. Because I think what parents don't understand is there's a difference between training and then just having your kid tired. Like, I can't, like the part when the kids are like, the parents are like, hey, she's not, he's not tired or she's not tired. They're not supposed to be.
They're learning
They're
something.
learning something.
Can't
right?
be tired learning.
Right. So that's the parent right there. But other than that, like, it's in the contract, like, hey, look, drop your kid off. You can watch, right, from afar, right,
over the fence, two fences over.
I don't mind. Like I've had it where groups of parents have come, groups of kids have come and groups of parents. They're just talking amongst themselves.
Yeah, they hang out over there.
They're just hanging out. They're not even looking at us. But I don't, I think with that it's how you handle it, right? It's hard, and I know
you have the luxury though. You don't have team.
Yeah.
I have team.
Yeah.
Teams, plural. Does that make sense? So, like, from the A and B athletics side, I'm you. I get that. Consultation with the family. See who's talking the most, who really wants it, and my baby, because I do virtual. So, it's not everybody can pay attention virtually. So, like, I'm not going to sit and waste anybody's time to be on the phone and say shot 20 times. Like, it's not how that works. So, I definitely want to make sure I'm with those people. But I also, those same people are on other teams. So I don't know how those families act towards their clubs, but I know how they act towards me. Again, they're all on contracts. Everyone's on the same page. I don't rock with certain things. You don't get coached by me if you do this. It's just very, very simple. But in the club section, when I first started my club, it was a change of culture in just South Florida. It was rough. They're like, oh, I'm in trouble and I take accountability. Oh, you're making my kid accountable? Oh, my kid's in trouble? No way.
Yep.
Oh, my kid lied? No, couldn't. Oh, blah, 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 blah. So now my policy is I won't talk to any parent unless the kid is present. That's number one. Growing, love my parents now. We've got our team that we want. We love our Florida Prime team. Like, that was it. But when we first started, there was a lot of sifling through families. Not just players or parents' families needed to go. And it was more so of like, all right, we're in South Florida, so let's just talk about lacrosse in general. You don't need to move to Naples to go play lacrosse at the Naples high school team, to go potentially not D1 from South, like it's crazy.
But now, I will say this, from the team standpoint, yeah, you got it back.
I get it
back. I'm gonna tell you why, right? So
I don't get to pick and choose like that.
You don't get right. So you don't get to pick and choose. But like, I remember my dad coached me. My very first football team, I was 10 years old, my dad coached me. And my dad, I swear to you, had never coached in his life, by the way. He had an argument with a parent every single Saturday when we played.
Yep.
Why? Because why is my kid not getting any
Yep.
playing time? Why is my kid not this? Listen, I understand. Everybody wants, everybody
why.
thinks that their kid is going to be the next, whatever. Whether it's going to be the next Charlotte North, whether it's going to be whoever it's going to be, everybody thinks that. But at the end of the day, sports is here to teach you a lot more than just sports. And so you probably get it. I know you probably get it.
I'm
a
the
lot
young
from the
kid.
dads.
Whoa, no, it gets better. We were fresh out of college too, so we couldn't. My first year,
Oh, yeah.
we couldn't even rent a car.
Mm-hmm.
My whole staff. We started this new program. All of us are under 25 at this time. And we couldn't even rent a car. And we're going to President's Cup, which is the biggest thing in the freaking blah, 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 blah. And this was at Texas. So I spent like probably $600 in goddamn Ubers the whole entire time. I should have just rented the damn car.
Right.
But anyway, the whole conversation from parents is like, oh, they're young, they're kids. Oh, they're young, they're kids. Oh, they're young, they're kids. Now the conversation is because we don't have kids.
Oh my God.
So
really?
before we were too young. And we are kids, right? We're too young to manage a company, apparently, right? Okay. Whatever, we're still here. But we were too young. Now we're getting older. In Florida, we are probably the only staff that does not have kids. In Florida, we're probably the only staff that doesn't coach for a high school. So now you have a group of female athletes. Former players, pros, international, collegiate, whatever. And it's still not good enough for the average parent.
So they're saying that because you don't have a kid,
I don't know how to handle it now.
You don't know how to handle it. Okay, so that's a tough situation.
It's a double standard.
It is. It really is. Because even okay, my
well, how do they know? They don't have kids. So I'm like, yeah, I'm teaching you lacrosse. You should be happy I don't have kids. I'm teaching you the damn game.
But it's just something where I cannot relate to this.
It's crazy, right?
Because I'm thinking, how could I relate to this? Like,
it's crazy.
Even before, my daughter's 11, so I'm thinking before I had her. But no one's ever, because one thing is, should it matter that I have kids? What do you mean I don't know? Yes, here's the thing. I was a kid.
I'm actually closer in age with your goddamn kid for me to relate to your kid.
And the thing about it is that when it's not about the kid, it's about being in, and this is why experience as an athlete is so important. Because
experience coaching or experience
as an athlete and becoming a coach
okay.
is so important. Because you do understand all of the little nuances, all of the mental, the physical, everything.
I know what they're going through.
Great example. When I hire staff, my staff have to be former athletes,
or we can't relate.
Because here's the thing: you can't relate to. You can be great at the science, you can be great at training, but if you can't relate to that athlete,
lacking.
Give you a perfect example, right? Watching my 2026s. My 2026 lacrosse girls go through the recruiting process last year. I knew that I was like, man, they are a wreck. But I also let them know, hey, look, from my recruiting, I did my recruiting by myself, right? When I was in high school.
Same.
So I didn't.
I have no
and
idea.
It wasn't right. And it wasn't even as.
I paid $300 for my 30-second tape. You know what I mean?
It wasn't even that crazy.
No.
As crazy as it is now. You guys got the internet. We didn't have
that.
Right.
I didn't have that, and I'm younger.
Oh, wow. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, but relating to them, being able to say, hey, look, here's the deal. To relate to them and what they're going through, to know what they're feeling. When they have a bad game, when they feel like they didn't play, I know how to be able to approach it.
But that's more relatable than me just reproducing.
Right. But that's my thing. Why is that so important? I get it.
Because they're coached by daddy ball their whole time. And then they go from daddy ball to the mom that played back in the day, but has 3 kids and wants to make sure the dads don't coach her daughter. Still mommy ball. Okay. But now we got the dad. So now I'm the first person they've interacted with that wasn't a parent. That's crazy. That's Florida.
I've never run into that.
That's
I haven't run into that
Go
here.
Ask any Florida player. Be like, who are your first 2 coaches? Guarantee you wasn't a player.
Really?
Guarantee it.
No. Yeah, I haven't run into that and I guess it's a little bit different from the speed side of it or the strength and conditioning side
Or
of it.
the men's side, either one.
Or maybe even the men's side too. Because what I also say is like, the one thing I get from the parents is they don't listen to me, so we're sitting
Your turn.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, not a problem. But it's I think though what parents have to understand is that, especially I would rather have a coach, a sports coach who had played the game and have played the game at a high level, not a coach, somebody who's played the game at the highest level possible, right? That way you can understand every little nuance, every
Wait,
little
I'm
thing.
gonna attack that one.
Uh-oh.
Just because you play at a high level does not mean you are a good coach.
Now that's another one too, but you know why that is?
Because they don't know how to coach. There's no one.
Go.
They're so good.
There you go.
I had a really hard time. There's only a certain level I coach. Like I don't sit here and coach newbies. Like I don't. One, no one taught me. So how am I gonna break it down and teach you? I figured it the hell out myself. So go on YouTube, bro. But like I will rather hire other coaches for developmental skills foundation to get the basics. That's where this is where I love daddy coaches.
Yeah.
This is where the daddies come in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go teach the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And then I can come in because I know my level of coach. Middle school, I have maybe a handful of middle school clients, but these middle schoolers all play up. Like there's a type of kid that I like. So it's different.
Yeah.
But I will say I get called a lot, like say like Apex events or like these other showcase things that require all these coaches to come in and all these pros to come in. The amount of times I get phone calls saying, hey, I need pros, but I need pros that can coach.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want a pro that just like sits there.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing too. Like everybody, okay, great example. Magic Johnson, one of the greatest basketball players ever. Horrible coach. When he became a coach of the Lakers, they were terrible.
Yes.
But then you take somebody like Avery Johnson, who played basketball, but he wasn't a superstar. Or Kerr, who wasn't a superstar.
But he knows
the game.
But he played at the highest level.
Right, he played at the highest level.
Period.
But he knows the game. He knows how to coach. But the thing about it is you got to be relatable. And if you, like, most of and I'll say this, like, if you take a superstar, a stud, especially in lacrosse, right? I would say you take a stud and she's got all these honors, accolades, and everything. Will that make her a good coach? It depends. Is she's going to look at that athlete and say, figure it out? Or is she going to be able to say, or is she going to be able to say, hey, can you break it down? Can you take a simple pass, and if there's something they're doing, okay.
Can you break it down?
Can you break it down?
And my coaching career started young. I started doing privates when I was like 14, 15. And that made me a better player. Kind of like math class, right? They're like, all right, team up, go teach your math buddy algebra. And if you can teach it, you know it. Like, it's like the same exact concept. So once I got really into my coaching career, which was like 22, 23, 24, my playing skyrocketed.
Yep.
Now, I understood both sides of the coin. Because now as a coach, there's certain expectations and standards I wanted from my players. And now that I've been that coach and I wanted those standards and expectations, then I had to go back to tech, right? Now I'm back to being a player.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to make sure this guy doesn't hate his life today? And I wouldn't wish it upon anybody, but I've been in those shoes. But I will say, because of my coaching, I was able to communicate with my teammates better, dissect the film a lot better, be able to break things down in ways that I didn't even know I needed to break them down for me. I'm like, oh, wait, I just learned something new today, teaching somebody else the same thing I've been doing all the time. So I agree, yes, higher level people will always know more than the parent. I completely agree. But no, just because you're the highest level does not mean you're a good coach. Because I've been next to a bunch of pros and they're just duds on the field when it comes to coaching.
Well, and like I said, it just comes down to them not knowing how to be able to break things down. They just really feel like, okay, you should know how to pass. Like, no, can you teach them how to
pass?
how to be where their hand should be and this? And then let's say if you got an athlete and you're teaching say you're teaching a simple drill and this athlete's still not getting it. Do you know how to regress that? Do you know how to talk to this athlete and be able to regress
take it down?
Can you take it down?
Yes.
Right.
No.
Like that's what it. And if you can't do that, then I don't coach.
But you're also passionate, Coach. Me and you are both very passionate about what we do. We would be struggling on our own to give up our ownership of what we have. Like we would never work for the man. That's not us.
Right.
Like, it's never gonna happen. I'd rather be couch surfing doing what I'm doing right now than to be a 9 to 5er. Okay,
Right.
it's never gonna happen. But at the same time, these pros, we expect these pros to be great coaches and great things. On the athlete standpoint, I didn't become a pro to coach.
Yeah.
That's not what I signed up to do.
Yeah.
And the only way for me to get paid as a pro is to coach. Do you see how ass backwards this is? And then you got people being like, well, these pros suck at coaching. Well, we didn't want to freaking coach.
They didn't want to coach. I get that. That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. It does.
I was like, no shit.
Like, that's not what we eventually. That wasn't the plan.
That wasn't the plan, dude.
It just got altered over here.
This is which was paying my bills.
Yeah. Like, all right, can you stay with me let me figure this out? I get it. No, I do. Like, I tell people this all the time. Like, I didn't have the program that I have now until maybe around 2015. So all those athletes out there I trained beforehand, you were guinea pigs. But you still got better. But anyways, but it was because I knew how to coach, but I didn't know how to coach at that. Like if you
that
would,
level,
if
there's
you would have
certain
given
levels of coaching.
If you would have given me straight out of, let's say, when I started training when I got my company in 2008, you'd have given me pro athletes. Oh, I'd have been on point.
We're awesome.
Right, but you would have given me, but when you gave me beginners, you gave me people who couldn't.
But I think that determines what's a good coach or not. Can
Right.
you turn crap into greatness?
Right.
That is what you do.
And it was an everyday, like, okay, what did I do wrong?
Yep.
What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What did I do right? Until the point where I said, okay, and I literally, this was me. I would go home and I would say, okay, what drills worked? This one, I like that one, I like that one, I like that one. And then it put together my protocol.
Your program.
And I said, oh, this is it.
Genius.
And so soon as I hit and I started doing the same things over and over again, athlete comes to me, it became that. But
now you got a system.
But a lot of coaches, and especially nowadays, because now it's so easy to be able to grab drills off of YouTube.
The YouTube, well, that's another thing I want to talk about. It's grabbing drills without the coaching cues.
Right.
People are paying for the coaching cues, not the drills. People are paying for the coaching cues, not the drills.
They're playing. I always say this. It's easy to get the what. It's hard to get the why. To get the why and the how.
Yes.
Right? Like those are the things. Like, okay, you can take this drill, right? You can take a footwork drill and it's fancy and it's doing all this fancy movement.
But you're not doing it correctly.
Right, and you're not doing it correctly, or you're not, it may be so, or you take a speed drill and you're not doing it correctly. Okay, now we got to break it down. First of all, before we get to this what is how, right? How can we do this and make sure it's effective to get to what we want to get to? Are we going to get faster? Are we going to get quicker? Yeah. And then, you know what I'm saying? And then why are we doing this with this athlete?
With this intent, yes.
Right. Like, so how and why? How and why? Right?
I try to make sure I explain those things.
And that's the thing. And if you do, I guarantee you, if you start to do that, you're like when you explain that to your athletes can regurgitate that back to you.
But they respect it.
Right.
Like
they'll love you for it.
They want to know why. I have athletes all the time being like, well, first of all, I'll never make you do anything I don't do. Mm-hmm. Let's just get that.
Exactly.
Just buck 100.
Exactly.
But I will tell you, I can use the same drill for 4 different focuses.
Yep.
And then someone can take that drill and be like, oh, we're doing the drill because AMB Athletics did it.
Right.
But my focus wasn't footwork that time. My focus was hands.
Right.
Okay, maybe my focus is body positioning, not hands.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe my focus is making sure she's in the correct stance. Like, yes, this is the drill, but the cues of the drill is why people pay me the freaking money.
Right.
So
and people just that's spot on. And I think that's the problem. Like, you know what I mean? It's so easy to just.
I'm flattered. Take my drill. Take it.
Me too.
Take
I'm like,
it.
take the drill.
Take the drill.
But here's the thing.
But call me.
Right. Take the drill. Like I tell coaches this all the time. I get DMs from coaches. They're like, "Oh, coach, we're using your drills and all this." I'm like,
amazing.
How about this?
Call
me. I'm like, how about this? How about you fly me out? Let's do a clinic so you can now understand why we're doing these drills.
I can teach you the drills that. So again, same.
So you're just not doing it, right?
I think I just got to start coaching coaches at the end of the day. I think that's like what it's coming down to.
And that's honestly, but you think about it from a business standpoint. What do you see? I mean, what do you see business people doing? Coaching other business people, right? So it's like when I started the certification that we have. The reason why I wanted that certification was because I said, you know what? There's a lot of people just doing the what.
Yeah,
right?
not the why and how.
Right.
Yeah.
So and they're just, why is a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old, football player doing drills that I may see Tariq Hill do?
Why?
Because
they saw it on YouTube.
Because they saw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And yes, the kid may master the drill and it may
but they don't know
great,
why or how.
But there's little small nuances that if you miss, it'll ruin that athlete. Not even just from a speed standpoint, but also from an injury standpoint, right? It may not be right now, but keep teaching these back later on. It's like having a car and you see this little screw come out of your car. You're like, that's okay. I don't need that screw.
I got a hole in my tire and I keep filling it up. I haven't
all
done
of a
anything
sudden
about
you're
it.
driving, and then that engine block fall out. You're like, oh my
know.
God, that little screw. But that's the thing, right? So that's where I tell them, and it's when you go and you start, and even the most simplest, like you said, the most simplest drill, something simple that I'll use over and over again. But there's something that I'm looking for
every single time.
When we do a drill, I'm like, okay. I look at it, even if it's just like one of my favorite drills, I have my guys do high knees to sprint. And I'm like, okay, what am I looking for here, right? Did they, were their knees up? Were they moving fast? But then, how did they explode off? So when we do the first rep, I'm looking for a certain thing. Second rep, I'm looking for a certain
different thing.
Right.
But that's how I tell my kids how to train. Mm-hmm. So sometimes my kids go through reps, just going reps and reps and reps. And I was like, I need some type of intention behind each rep. Mm-hmm. And each rep needs to have a different focus or same focus. But you need to have a focus every single rep. Mm-hmm. Same thing as I have a focus every rep I'm watching. Yep. I'm looking for something. You need to have a focus for every rep you're doing. So if the rep before your feet were slow, from my standpoint, maybe the next rep, that's what you freaking focus on, and that's your rep. That's your practice. So I don't think kids know how to practice, but same thing with studying. Like I didn't know how to study until I got to college and learned how to study. Yeah. Same thing with practice. These kids think that just going on the wall and doing. I don't think these kids know how to practice. Where a lot of my training is individual training. Everything you do with me, you can do by yourself. True. I'm gonna literally say that. Every part of my company is a very if I want to give you the keys, you can just do it.
True story. True story.
But people don't want to do that.
Yeah, they don't want to.
They don't want to do that, but they don't know how to practice. So how do we teach kids how to have an effective practice?
Honestly, the one thing that I always say is one, we got to keep like you said, as simple as the drills are, is the intent of it, right? So I'll get them to understand okay, this is what you're looking for. All I want you to do is focus on this one thing, right? So I say, okay, well, you go out there and you're doing sprints. Here's what I want you to focus on, right? Don't worry about. I don't want to jumble your head up.
No, one thing.
Focus on. Can you get off that line? Is your stance and your start. I may start with that. So okay, did you give me a good first step? Was your stance good? Did you take a false step? Those are the little things. Even just off of that. Okay, Now we say, okay, if I see it when they're doing it on their own and they come back to me and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, you've been practicing. I get it. Now we say, okay, this time.
These are new focus.
These are your new focus. But
same drill.
Right. But you know why? Because it's because we burn that memory into them. It's like swimming, right? You go to swim class, and what are you doing for the first 2-3 weeks? You just 2, 3, 5 sessions. You're kicking your legs. That's it. You're kicking your legs until what? Until kicking your legs becomes automatic.
Yes.
And now I can focus on. Maybe now we focus on moving your arms. Maybe now we focus on your breath. Whatever it is.
Let's start here.
And get them to focus right here on this right now. That's all. When I tell my athletes the first day, I said, look, I'm not asking you to be Usain Bolt today.
Nah.
Not at all. What I'm asking you right now is to get by the end of this session, end of this hour, is your stance and your start is better. That's it. That's all. Can you give me a good stance, explode off the line, give me my knee up on that first step? I'm a happy guy.
But that shows you have programming in your madness.
Yeah.
Again, me and you have programs.
Yeah.
People pay for our programs.
Yeah.
There's a start, there's a finish, there's a start, there's a product.
Yep.
You know what you're getting at the end, and it happens every single time.
Yep.
Coaches, at least in our sport, really don't have programs. They show up and they're like, this is what I'm going to do today.
Yeah.
And have I done that? Sure, but it's still part of the program.
Yeah.
So
it is.
It's a lot different. So
It is.
I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did.
Anything else that's like ringing? Do you have any promos you want to give out?
Let me see here. Any promos I'm giving out? No, just hit me up. You guys are in training.
At the Speed System.
Hit me up at the Speed System on Instagram. I am always taking clients all over the world. We do online training, obviously in person. Coaches, you guys want to get and work on do a clinic? I'm here. Doesn't matter the sport. Doesn't matter the athletes. I'm here. So
perfect. So closing out the pod, thanks for joining us. Maybe we have more guests. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll find out how well this one does. But yeah, if you don't mind, if you can subscribe to the pod, that'll be super great. It really helps the pod a lot because I have just so many subscribers. But if you really want to help out the pod, please buy some gear. Yeah, right.
I'm saying. I'm like, man,
like, bro, we got
that kind of bad right there.
I know. I'm like a little deprived right now. Like we got
felt bad right there. I was
6
like,
days.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, hold on,
I don't know. I got a frame. We got a frame.
No, shit. I saw the arm. I'm like, wait a minute.
The triceps coming. You know what?
All right, go do your thing.
Sweatshirt back on. But anyway, this is why I got male clients. Is because I'm ripped. The dad is like, she can train.
She can train. Yeah. Look the part.
Look the part. Rule number one of coaching and training or whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of do what you need to do so the kids want to do what you want them to do.
Exactly.
It's very simple. But anyway, subscribe. Link on the bottom to buy some gear. Artwork per usual. Usually I have artwork behind me, but not today. We're in a different location. We're actually, shout out to Stu, St. Thomas University, for allowing us to use their podcast room. What's next? I don't know, but thanks for joining. Peace.